I like the way he puts it. He didn't even say Nigerians. He said Northern Nigeria. They are brothers, just divided by geographical territory.
Boundaries that were done by...
And sometimes those boundaries don't even exist in the physical sense, if you look at it. So now, because they still have trade, intertrade.
No, even the rail line that we criticized, the Maradi, the Katsina Maradi rail line, it was to make sure that the trade and the
effective
interaction and interchange between Niger Republic and Nigeria, northern Nigeria, is smoothened. So you see that if you live around that area, I served in Breeding Kebbi, and it was easy to drive into Niger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could just drive through there was no border guard, nothing. Just drive. It takes about an hour, 30 minutes or 2 hours to drive into Niger. So they are one person, they are one people. But I think that we also have to be very careful. We have seen across the entire Sahel, Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and now Niger, military coups happening. And the military has never been. There is no clear account of any military regime that has been effectively good for the people. It will come in and people are rejoicing across Africa. It used to be the main thing, 70s and 80s. And people will rejoice, and then they will crack down on people, dissent, the human rights violation, and then thousands and thousands of people would die in the process of fighting to kick out the military once more. And so I think that military coups are obsolete. These young men do not have the capacity to, as it were, organize a clear social gathering or a clear society. And so we must put pressure on them to allow the democratic process to play out. We cannot keep, cutting off the democratic learning process. This is a key issue within West Africa. West Africa has become the laughingstock of the world.
Well, let's look at something real quick, and I will keep emphasizing on this because we are quick to see let me use domestic abuse, for instance. We never talk about domestic abuse when we see a woman with battered face or a man stabbed to death, or because, she's a wicked woman, or he's a bad man for beating up his wife, or burning them, or something. That we are quick to react based on all of that. But the root causes, which I usually say is domestic abuse, which could start from either party. We never talk about that, but when we see the aftermath of domestic abuse, we begin to react. In this case, for instance, AU, for instance, is also threatening the Niger to, they're basically talking about removing them from everything that has to do with any of these international treaties and what have you, and all of that. That may be okay at that point. You are talking about mounting more pressure, but not the military force, maybe, to ensure that the junta recognizes that the people needs to go back to democracy. That if democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people, if the people are saying that you are not leading us well, the junta said they took over because Bazoum was corrupt, and several details are out there. Why do you think the ECOWAS and the AU are not talking about the corruption issues that led to military takeover in the first place? Why is that not being addressed? Because this is the same case across Africa.
It's the same thing that I've just said. The military has been even worse than democratic institutions.
But they have arms.
That's what I'm saying. If they get in there, they become even more corrupt. They abuse more human rights. They destroy an entire economy.
That's true.
So I think that we must, in stringent times, denigrate every attempt by the military to take over power in any part of Africa.
How do you?
There
How
has
do
to
we
be
do?
a
How do we
learning
do?
process.
Okay.
You allow a full
let me
learning
ask,
process.
Let me ask. Why do you think the AU and ECOWAS are not condemning the actions that led to military takeover? Because these actions are also being perpetuated by some of these leaders who are calling for the head of the junta right now. Nigeria is a typical example.
I completely agree.
Compare this to what happened in 2023 elections, how Nigeria... Obi was in Imo State and the State a few days ago. You needed to see the opera. I'm like, we have a new president. Isn't there something that Tinubu must have done to make the people realize that, hey, I'm in town or something? Because there are several issues. Look at INEC right now, going to conduct another election by November 11. Nobody is talking about the issues that came, the outcome of the 2023 election and how it has impacted the faith of the people. So if we are going, African leaders, whether AU or ECOWAS are going to be talking about getting Niger out, why do you think they are not addressing the root causes?
I think that first, when you have the hawk coming to take the chickens, you chase the hawk away, and then you can bring the chickens and say, look, make sure
but that's in an emergency situation.
No, but this is an emergency. So what we need to do is to deal with the issue of coups in Africa.
So how do you do that? Because the coups, what led to the coups in the first place is what they have said, and nobody has tried to address that to even raise the issues.
But the other aspect of it is, even these guys who come in as coupists and they run on this very popular sentiments by people.
Yeah.
And they get in there. It's not because they're doing it for the people.
Okay.
It's because they're doing it for themselves. And the second thing that we need to do is that we need to go through a process of learning and growing with the process.
So now, is the process of learning and growing, the process, should it be about destroying the people?
No, it shouldn't be about destroying the people. But
should it be about denying the people? Because you just said that.
I think we need to get to that point where we grow our institutions.
Okay.
So INEC has not done well. INEC has been criticized so loudly. I'm sure INEC is not... you've not even heard about them. That swagger that Mahmoud Yakubu used to have before elections and is going around addressing... You've not heard him address anybody, and November is almost here. So you have the situation where the outpouring of people's angst against a political process clearly shows that you've not done what you're supposed to do.
All right.
And hopefully it engages and enables the institution to get better, to say, look, we need to do it better. We need to make sure that these things are conducted in a more transparent and a more credible manner.
All right.
And so hopefully that learning process helps all of us. It's not something... There are democracies that are 200 years old, like the American democracy. The French Revolution is over 200 years old. And all of those processes have led to where they are today. Yeah. It's not perfect. It's not perfect.
It's something that can be done.
You still have all of these issues, whether it's corruption, whether it's rigging. Even in the US, the Republicans have a way of the Electoral College that supports states with tiny population. So you could win an election by 2 million votes, and you still lose the Electoral College.
Like the Clinton and...
Al Gore and all of that. So people have a way of trying to protect, but there is also that pushback by the other side that gets you to a balanced position that says, this is where we are all comfortable standing. So I think that is what is going on. That is what you see, the outpouring of love and support for a particular candidate, and the almost graveyard quietness on behalf of the president. You could see all of that. You could see that even at that point, people are a bit more circumspect. Even those who got into power, however they did, they're a bit more circumspect. They look at what people are... I don't think these guys are crazy guys. They know what's going on.